All right, welcome guys. Tampa Fishing Outfitters Live Fishing Report. Myself, Captain Travis, Captain James, Captain Jason in the house. And we're here for you guys for an hour, talking a little fishing. We got a good show tonight, James.
Yeah, we do.
I think
look at Ty Colby on point, ready to go.
We got Ty Colby on point.
And Jeff.
we got Jeff doing a little weightlifting down there.
That's Jeff's signature. Notice,
dude. Let me tell you something. I got to know Paige.
I've adopted it, man. I like it.
I got to know
He
Paige.
went to 3 because 1 wasn't good enough. 2 was doing it, and now he's up to 3.
I got to know him over the last couple years and working the shows and stuff, man. He's a character, dude. He's funny. We had Ty, so Ty brings his kid over, and a little boy, and the one's just all over the place. And at the boat show this week, in the Progressive Boat Show.
Boy, Ken, we got you, baby.
So Ty's little boy's all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
So he gets in the Maverick. He's all bouncing off the – and so – Paige is like, hey, man, just climb in the hatch. He puts him in the hatch and shuts him in there.
That's great.
It was hilarious. But yeah, we had a good show, man. But yeah, Paige is a character, man. It's a cool dude.
So James, real quick, man, lay it out for us, brother. What are we going to talk about tonight?
So tonight we got a pretty full slate. We're going to get into some local fishing reports from us, and if anyone wants to get in some comments to supporting that, feel free. After that, we're going to talk about some of the current events we've got going on. A lot of shows, a lot of tournaments coming up. Then, in spirit of the IFA, we're all going to go over our top picks for our artificials, and we're going to wrap it up after in the third segment. We're going to talk about live bait report, where we're getting it, how we're getting it, what we're getting, and then some cool tips on how we're going to keep it alive in this warmer weather.
Which is really neat. That's going to be something really cool. You're going to have to get up to TFO to check out.
Absolutely.
But like I said, guys, we appreciate you joining us. We got a few of our regulars on here. We got Kevin Overstreet joining us. We got Mr. Dave. We got Sergio. Ken with us with Naughty Knots. Ty. Like I said, guys, we appreciate you joining in. If you feel obligated or feel motivated, go ahead and share the show. Like it. That's how we get the word out there, guys. But let's talk a little fishing. I'll kind of start it off.
You start it. Your boat's in the parking lot.
My boat is in the parking lot. I've been, like I said, you got the IFA coming up.
Yep.
Unfortunately for me, man, I ended up with some pink eye. I've got double ear infections going. Yeah, come on, get a little closer. That's the one good thing about having a wife that's an eye doctor.
Right.
You get cleared up pretty quick.
That was my first. He goes, man, I got pink eye. I said, how you get pink eye when your wife's an eye doctor?
Kids, man. I got a 3-year-old kid. But all that's going good, man. I just got a little bit of a stuffy ear, but hey, man, it's all good. So. With that, I would say that I have been scouting for redfish. Has been probably my main priority over the last few days. Been from one end of the bay to to the next, really. And I can tell you there's fish around. Depending on the tide, depending on the weather conditions, they're going to be in different areas and going to be a little bit easier to target on certain tides in certain areas. But there's definitely some fish around. Not like we'd want to see, but there is some fish around. We're going to see some decent weights at the tournament.
Days.
What's that?
The good old days.
The good old days, man. Yeah. It's going to be a ground and pound. But like any other tournament, man, somebody's going to get them.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get them. And I think with the amount of fish that I've seen, there's going to be quite a few boats weighing in fish. Now, with that, guys, I do want to stress that there are some boundaries for this tournament. You know, the culling permit is for Hillsborough and Pinellas County. And, you know, obviously that northern part of Anna Maria Island south is, from what I understand, off limits. So
it's going to be tricky.
Tampa Bay is going to be a busy place for this tournament, which is abnormal for this tournament. You got to get a lot of guys splitting up.
Typically, you have a lot of options. You got, so 3 or 4 directions you can run in any distance.
Right. So the Tampa Bay guys are probably going to have some company fishing some of the more popular spots. But all that being said, I think it's going to be a good turnout. I'm optimistic that quite a few guys are going to catch fish, and it's going to be a good event. So with that being said, I will say that a lot of the fish that I've caught have been in a little bit of deeper water on the lower tides. They've been pushing out into some deeper water. And then on the higher tides, I've been fishing them in the trough. I've been fishing them not necessarily under the bushes because, as you know, artificial's not the best way to target fish in the trees unless you're going to dead stick or do something like that.
All my fish are.
Yeah, no. And so just a little what I've noticed, of course, nobody knows 100%, but what I've been trying to do is target those fish in the transition.
Yeah.
So if I know they're in the trees, or if I think they're in the trees, then I'm not going to fish them on that dead high water.
Right.
I'm going to wait until that water starts to move and try to get them in that transition period, which, looking at the IFA, guys, we're going to have high water in the morning and an outgoing tide all day.
It's going to fall fast.
It's going to fall fast, but it's also going to cater to those guys that have got that pattern figured out, that know when and where to be when those fish make the move from the trees to the sandbars or to the potholes
wherever
or whatever.
The next move is.
Right. And so, in my opinion, that's going to be a key to catching some of these fish during the tournament.
We went out today. Me and Brian did some scouting for the tournament, and I was a little disappointed. I was hoping to find, we got out about 8 as soon as we could because we had that last bit outgoing tide about, I think, 10:30 on the south shore. So we were trying to hit the last bit of the outgoing, get them bars exposed, see if them fish push out, start running outside of the bars. And just didn't see we seen a ton of mullet, just didn't see even singles. Didn't see the fish we wanted. Caught a monster.
That's what you said, man.
Flounder. I mean, it's almost the size of my 40
Thought
grizzly.
He was a big red.
No, what's funny is
thought he hooked a pair of underwear.
No, I hooked him, and I'm like, well, it actually had me guessing because I was throwing the old Z-Man Houdini, and I chucked it out there, and we've seen some mullet, so I just throw a couple casts. I wasn't casting a lot. That felt like a bite, so I'm pulling it, and I'm like, I think I'm hung up kind of, but it's coming in. I had a branch. But then it started swimming a little bit, and it still acted like a branch. I was like, I don't even know if I have a fish, but it's kind of moving. Like, it really messed with me. And all of a sudden it started fighting. It was a big old doormat.
Nice.
Flounder. But, I caught a big old flounder. But as far as redfish, just didn't see what I wanted to see. If I see a big school, I'm going to be surprised.
What's up, Bernie?
I was looking for even a school of 20 or 40. The biggest problem I have going to the IFA is there's 6 or 7 spots that I want to hit. Every single one will require high water, which we have probably at best 2 hours of, 3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, 3's pushing it, and you can't be at 3 places at once.
Nope.
So it's going to be a little tricky. And we got 2 more days of scout. We're going to go hit a totally different area tomorrow. We spoke on the phone today, and just didn't see what I wanted to see on the north end, port and all that. But it'll be interesting. We'll find some fish. Last year or earlier in the year we blew it out of the water with weight and caught best day I've ever had fishing on a tournament. And leading into that tournament, it was like, we seen a couple fish there.
You felt
seen
horrible.
Well, we fell into the pattern of the school of fish where it really sucks when you find that school of fish 4 days before the tournament. You go, are these fish going to do? Are they going to stay? Are they going to break up? So it's not all bad.
Angelo, thanks for joining us, buddy.
It's not all bad leading into the tournament with a couple question marks. And then you just got to hope that all the stars align. So like earlier in the year, we just fell into what we
happened.
Yeah.
We knew there was a few fish there. We've seen a few in the potholes, but the 30 that we caught that were 7-8 pounds. That wasn't how I played my morning out, which it worked
Need
out.
to bring
for
a few of them boys back over.
Oh, if I could,
Ruskin, man.
Me and Brian were catching them fish, Travis, and everyone we catch, we had 15, 7, 8, I think, to the scales, and we had fish that we threw back that were like, like if I didn't have fish, they were going in, they were right there, and they weighed a few ounces more, but we caught that weight probably 20 times.
Right.
And I'm like, you kid, why can't we just spread this out a little bit?
We got him, Ralph. We're gonna put the leash on him, brother. Don't worry.
But,
we'll keep him out of 727.
That's tournament fishing.
We don't want him to get shot.
I've never done well
right?
on any Friday where I was like on good fish, or Thursday or Friday for that matter. And we were partnered up last year, and every tournament we'd enter. Thursday, you're loving it. Like, man, this is it. Friday.
Oh
this
yeah.
is it. And you back off them on Friday, even so. But
that happened to us a
forget
few
it.
years ago. We were fishing in the same school, and we decided we were going to work together. And but we actually had these fish figured out. Like we had it down, and we're pulling in 14 and a half, like, and 14 won it.
We had some unpredicted variables.
Oh, you mean like somebody blowing the flat up?
Yeah, that really kind of threw. Which that's something you can't help. You know what I mean? You can pattern the fish as much as you can, but there's always going to be the risk of an outside source sort of impacting.
We had multiple ones that day.
But
and I actually stayed. Travis ventured off the plan. And
2 minutes.
No, that
2
was
minutes.
it was one of the days where the school of fish we had was at 600. I would say the biggest during that week.
It was
it
pretty
got
good
down
pod.
to like 300. I mean, it was a wad. Well, I happened to we stayed in the spot. We just waited and waited and waited. And Travis got impatient. Of all people that got impatient, I would not pick him.
It was more of a.
Listen, I got to the point that tournament. I sat on the cooler. I was like, we have fished. I've thrown fan cast 1,000 times. We ain't caught nothing.
Yeah.
We're just waiting. And I actually moved over like 50 yards, and I seen Travis because we were 100 feet away or so, whatever the tournament rules are. And he shifted this way. And I went in just a little bit. And I literally was in the tower, and I look, and I see a porpoise, and I see about 50 fish. Now, keep in mind, it was about 300 of them. 50 of them just come up. And I went, and the fish were like, when you throw, they're going to hit.
They were ready to go.
And so we had like 30, I'd say 2 minutes that we caught our 2 fish, and we don't get the 7th because they're only like 12 pounds. But there was like 2 minutes of that whole day where we had a shot at, and we just happened to get
it was
two of them right off.
And going back to what we talked about, sort of just a second ago, was that transition period.
Yeah.
And we were looking. We had it dialed in to where when those fish made the move, when they made the push naturally, when they got pushed out and made their move from the interior to the exterior of the bar, you had a shot. When they moved across that area, you could find them. Once they got across, it was up in the air whether or not they were going to stop or just keep going.
Keep right now.
But if you were there when they moved across, you were going to get a window where you were going to get fish. And so it sort of got us. But in that particular event, we did get a little impatient, and what we did was we went up the bar. And I said, well, we're going to go up the bar and try to bump them. Maybe they've been pushed around, or they're not going to come out where they came out. And so we went up the bar a little bit and kind of came back down in an effort to kind of bump those fish.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm literally on the trolling motor going one way, and I look behind him, and these guys are doubled up behind us like 200 yards from where we just came from, and I'm like,
you can't do anything on a tournament. I can't call them, I can't text them.
It was just, it is what it was. It is what it is. And we ended up getting, we actually had one.
You had the big fish.
We had one good fish. We had a decent fish, and then we had a really good fish, and we had a tail issue where the tail busted off the fish during transit because that was a Sarasota tournament, and we got back, and I mean it was like the tail was like broken from being I don't know how it happened, but
it wasn't. To me, it wasn't a DQ'd fish. I will say this: that was the year that they were just going nuts.
Yeah, and I tell you what it was, and I know what it was. But when you catch a redfish, and especially in shallow water, and they start nosing on you and diving down, you get line cut on the tail.
Yep.
So the line, you're at your line, especially with the braid, comes across his tail, and if it hits it just right, you'll literally put a slice in his tail, and that fish got a slice in his tail, and in transit back to the weigh-in, it snapped, because it was so close to the bone. But
what was weird about it was the piece was still there.
Yeah,
it was hanging on.
Yeah,
but it was like a puzzle piece. You could have put it on there.
It was one of those arguable things, and you know what? in the situation, and that
I think
and
I
that,
argued for Travis.
Yeah,
Travis order. I was like, "Are you really DQing
it
that
didn't
fish?"
matter. I mean, it really didn't matter. I mean, we would have had good weight, but we weren't in a run for team of the year. There were some guys that definitely had higher weight than we did, and so I sort of let it go to the wayside. I will say one thing, and that is that the IFA does probably one of the best jobs at running a tournament and handling situations. They're not always what you want to hear, and they're not always right. But I will say, as a whole, they do a really good job at trying to make sure that things are fair.
I think that particular incident was just the year that they really were making an example out of any little deal. And they questioned that same year was the year we won Team of the Year, and our second day when we were in the running, our big fish, the guy's like, "Oh, I don't know," and I'm looking like, "Dude, you better." It's a fish. The tail was not bad at all. It was like it was at the top of the tail, not even the back. So so they had to call it over, and he's like, "No, you're good." And some of that I think is when you give somebody, if you're that guy, they're going to give you a hard.
And it goes both ways. You want them to be fair. You want them to be vigilant and look at these things because
they get years of experience.
There's times where things shouldn't get looked over, and they do. So with all that being said, guys, the IFA is a great tournament. It's going to be here this Saturday. If you're a recreational angler, if you're a serious professional angler, definitely come on out, support the tournament if you choose. If you don't, that's okay. There's certain things going on in our fishery right now that some people just don't agree with, and that's your personal opinion, and I have no issues with that. But if you do want to fish a redfish tournament this weekend, it's going to be here in Ruskin at Little Harbor, and anybody can come out and sign up for it.
Where's the weigh-in going to be in?
It's going to be at Little Harbor,
right?
At the marina,
in like the boat basin there.
Yeah, in the boat basin.
I'm glad to see that they use Little Harbor, and there's a lot of tournaments go around, and I know that Ruskin's a little off the beaten path, but what a good location to do stuff. I mean, they got a tiki bar there. They got plenty. The biggest thing there is they have restaurant bar, and they have plenty of parking.
And let me say one thing.
Yeah.
And I really didn't. I've been in Little Harbor. You were in Little Harbor before I was there, and I've been in there for a while now. And I've actually built a relationship with the resort, and a lot of my clients end up staying at the resort because it's a great outlet. Long day of fishing, get some rest, and just chill out. But if you've never been to Little Harbor, in the Harborside Suites particularly, if you've never been up in those rooms, you got to go stay there and check it out.
Yeah, it is.
They are really, really nice rooms. I have not had one customer that's come back to me and said, is there any other place? Because they really are, for what it is and for the cost of them, they're really nice rooms. So with that being said, guys, we're going to leave the fish talk, redfish, pro angler stuff away, and let's roll over to James. I know you've been in the upper part of the bay. Doing some charters, and you're excited about what's going on up there. So let's hear about it.
I am. The water, obviously the whole bay it's been clean, but it's starting to clean up a little bit in the last few days. And the bait, man, I'm excited about the bait situation we have up there right now. But we'll get into that later. But I'm not fishing that tournament this weekend. I got a trip Saturday, Sunday. So I'm gonna go after the guaranteed day. Yeah,
what a change, huh?
But the fish has been good up there. I'm seeing a lot of fish. I'm seeing a lot of trout lately too. Now the water's cleaned up, and when in that deeper water, you can get a little bit better visibility as I'm idling in on these flats. So I haven't begun to target them yet, but they're there, which is a good sign. Seeing pods of redfish, not big schools, but the numbers, they're starting to come together. We even talked about that last week. You and I went up there. Well, I'm still seeing kind of what we saw last week, but big snook, like the overslots.
Nice.
They're home. They've been wanting to play. They're in all the right places you'd expect them to be. So we've been having some fun on recent trips with those.
Nice.
And that's only going to get better as this water starts to come down a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, there ain't nothing better. It's all different. You know what I mean, it's all different, what you get out of it. But there's just nothing like a big old snook. And with anglers today and resources and the amount of people that are good fishermen, it kind of takes away from the notoriety of catching a 40-inch snook. But I can remember, you guys can remember teenage years, going out there and all you had was a mirror lure, and if you could get some bait, or a big pinfish or a mullet or something like that, you'd sit and wait on a big old snook. But it seems like more and more every year, more people are being successful catching big snook. But
the anglers
not
in general
to take away from what that is.
Better.
I mean, that is a an accomplishment in itself to
Yeah.
catch one of those big fish.
Silver King. I mean, with social media and the internet now, the Google Earth and all there's so much stuff out there online that just anglers are just better. They're better. They're more knowledgeable, and there's so many seminars. There's so much available out there that, and I think it's changing the patterns of fish a little bit. And there's a lot of anglers.
Yeah.
Went to the boat show. I was at the show on Sunday, and I was kind of shocked, even through the Bucks game and all that being
Still
aired.
had a good showing.
Yeah, I mean it stayed steady till about 4 o'clock. So a lot of anglers out there, and a lot of available information for people to get to be a better angler easier than what it used to be.
You're right. And I tell you what, Jason, after we take this break, we're going to tell them how.
Yeah.
Right here, man. We got a couple lures we're going to talk about.
We got to cover the current events. So
we're going to cover current events, and then we're going to talk a little bit about lures, guys. In the meantime, check it out. We're going to give you a little commercial from the sponsors, and when we get back, we're going to talk more fishing. Hang tight.
See. All right, guys, we're back. Tampa Fishing Outfitters Live Fishing Report. So before we talk about the goods, the go-to bait,
the goods,
for
and
this
that's right, they
artificial
are
stuff,
goods, bro.
Let's just do a quick recap, kind of what we got going on
I
in
don't
the
know if I'm
store
going to talk about mine.
and some other current events. Oh, I've already posted up on the fishing club there. So, but something cool that we do in the store every spring and fall is we do a catch and release, photo release bass
That's
tournament. Right. So I want to give everybody the heads up that we're doing that again this fall. It's October 1st through the 26th. Those are your fishing days, and anyone can enter this. It's all done through social media, through the web. You upload your photos, but you can start registering on Monday, and there's a nice little goodie bag you get with that. There's a token that has to be in the photos, and you have to register in person. So starting Monday, September 17th, all the way up till October 1st, that's a couple of weeks, you have to get into the store. You don't have to buy anything. Registration's free. All the prizes. It's sponsored by Favorite Rods, which is this, I don't know if you guys have heard of them. They're blowing up on the freshwater scene in the West Coast.
Okay.
And we're the first locally to get their rods in here. Awesome reception so far. Everybody's loved them. They're giving away tons of goods. So rods, reels, we never fall short in prizes. So we're going to have a ton of that. So there's going to be youth division, adult division. Everybody's going to win something for the most part. We're trying to get up to 100 anglers. We had a little over 50 in the spring. So if you can, come out and support it. If you've got kids like Ty, I'm expecting both your boys to be logged into this. Both, probably same for you if you got any kids, but get logged in, guys. Stop by the store, register here. It's easy.
Bro, it's in case you're asking about the tournament, it's a bass tournament that is over the course of, what, a couple weeks?
It's a 4-week tournament, so it's the 1st to the 26th of October.
Okay.
And then we do a weigh-in event, which is not a true weigh-in. It's just everybody kind of comes into the store on that Saturday. We'll get some appearances. That's when we give away all the prizes and give away the trophies.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Tiger, what's up, brother? We see you're on there, man. We got some support coming your way too for your tournament coming up, buddy.
Yeah,
But,
the South Shore that's the big.
We've got
one.
the captain's meeting. I'll go ahead and just say it. It's the Big Greg Leonard longest redfish tournament.
Longest redfish.
And if you know the South Shore anglers, and if you haven't, if you're a guy or a lady that fishes in the Tampa area or youth, that's one club that I will say that you need to join. Even if you just follow their page, if you don't go to the meetings, it's a great group of folks, fishermen, hardcore fishermen, guides, captains alike. And, Tiger and his dad do a great job at bringing, nothing but quality into the group. And they put together some really good events and support some really good charities. So that is coming up. That's the Greg Leonard longest redfish tournament. The captain's meeting, I believe, is the 21st. And the tournament is the 22nd. Tiger, if you're still watching, man, if you want to post a link or some information on the tournament, go ahead and do it in the comments right there. We'd love to put that out there for you, brother. What else do we got?
Yeah, I'll get my son registered. Definitely, I see that there. This will be his first fishing tournament. But something else we got coming up is next Wednesday, so that's going to be the 19th. We've got a seminar that I'm actually going to be helping with downstairs. We're going to be talking about big snook. We're going to be talking about the need to catch and release snook right now, whether that goes into effect or not. But
Yep.
our push is to release them. So we're going to talk about that. Pam's going to be helping me out with that, kind of talking about it from a kayak perspective. I'll treat more of the boat, live bait deal for mine. But I think we're going to get Glenn Pla in here too. We're trying to see if we can get him in. And then that same night, so that's Wednesday the 19th, our fly tying. So our fly shop's grown significantly.
If you haven't been here, you got to come check that out, man.
Yeah.
These boys know what's up.
I got to get Dustin in here to do some fly tying too. I know he's a wizard on the vise. But there's going to be a fly tying night, so that's one Wednesday a month. It's also the night we do our seminars. But good crowd. You know, those guys head upstairs. There's about a dozen of them now that show up every week, and they tie some pretty cool bugs, man.
Cool.
So that'll be going on next Wednesday.
Are we going to do our
what are we going to do?
Special baits?
Special baits. Real quick, and I'm just going to take a minute here because it's something that I want to talk about, and it kind of falls into sort of some of that announcement stuff.
Yeah.
And that has to do with this. There's two parts to it. You know, a lot of guys or ladies that follow us on Facebook, or me and Jason on Facebook, we just put out a survey for the Florida Guides Association, and I wanted to kind of follow up and at least talk a little bit about it. It's a survey that we're going to use to collect data to take to the FWC meeting that's coming up on the 26th
and 27th.
I'm glad
to hear that you're able to get your schedule to make it with me.
That's going to work out good. I'm actually going to be able to go, and if anybody wants to go, it's definitely open to the public. If you're a fishing guide, charter captain, this is a good time to get up there, and you may not get to talk. You may not get to voice your opinion personally, but to show the support. And the group of guys that's going to go up there, it's boots on the ground. Mm-hmm. When they see that many people coming up there, they're going to have to listen to us. They're going to have to pay some attention.
Well,
and so if you haven't done the survey yet, go ahead and do the survey. And there was a little confusion with the survey. I'm going to let Jason sort of follow up on that. But if you haven't done it yet, go ahead and do that, because it's not just a loose end. It's something that we're really going to use, we're really going to take to the FWC, and hopefully make a difference.
Yeah, and so this survey we're doing, it's basically asking you, what do you think about catch and release snook for Tampa Bay? Yes or no? There's a lot of questions on there right now on the survey, guide-oriented. This is for the average Joe. We don't want just guides information on this. We want the avid anglers, the weekend warriors, the beginners,
anybody
the enders, the
we had talked about maybe doing another.
Yeah, what I'm going to try to do tonight, I think it's hard. I'm going to do a very simple version of the survey. I'm going to get it out. I need to get it out by tomorrow morning, so I'm going to go home, work on this. This survey is going to be anybody and everybody that's put something on Facebook about their opinion on what should be done, whether you want to kill everything in the bay or you don't want to kill everything in the bay. Anybody that's opinionated, which is just about everybody that's on Facebook one time or another,
put it on.
Here's your chance.
One place.
We're going to take this, and I promise you, we're going to go there, and we're going to go in front of the board. I'm going to be there as the FGA board. You're going to be there as an FGA member. I don't know if James can go. I think Danny Garino's going. We got Steve Betts. There's a lot of people that have been put.
I know there's a lot of guys. We're getting the support from our upper big guys, Tim Whitfield, and those guys. They're going to put a group together. So
there's a lot of
people have a strong presence, man.
I will tell you that I'm going to take this survey. What I want to do is anybody can go up there and say, I think this needs to be done. What I want to do, I think we're stronger as one unit to go in there and say, guys, this is what we're seeing in Tampa Bay. This is the consideration that I think you should take. Oh, by the way, here's 6,000 people that agree with me.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Here's 6,000 people that agree with me. And I think this is going to fly because we've talked to Eric Sutton. I can't remember the other dude's name. The regional Eric Sutton's the scientist or whatever.
And Gil.
I didn't talk to Gil, but who's the
I
other
talked
guy?
to him this
Travis,
morning.
I think
we had a nice little meeting this morning that sort of reiterated the things that we talked about on the Hillsborough County side things. I got invited to a Pinellas County. We got invited to a Pinellas County meeting this morning. You weren't able to attend, but I kind of went in there in lieu to kind of represent us, and there was a lot of things that were talked about in there. And I think, without letting any cats out of the bag or trying to say what's going to happen, but I think we're moving in the right direction to see some catch and release in the Tampa Bay area. And I say this because if you're a guy that's against it, I'm one that likes to think on both sides. Now's the time for you to voice your opinion because I can tell you that the opinion now is going in the direction of catch and release in Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
that is the strongest voice that we hear.
Listen, this survey is not for for us to argue with your opinion.
Right.
The survey is for us to take it. Well, I'm not even going to look
an accurate reading
Absolutely.
of the communities.
Right.
Absolutely.
And this is not for guides. It's not for people in the industry. It's for everybody. We're trying to take this information and get it up there. There's a lot of stuff that's going on through email in the past couple months about red tide. I can tell you, people always say, you know, the FGA, what do they do for me? And there's a lot of stuff that goes on that is not out into the public. If you're a guide, as far as the recreational guys go, we pretty much fight for that stuff too. There's a lot of stuff that's going on, but that's going to be my voice to go. I'm going to use the FGA as a channel to get through to these guys to hopefully get what we think is right. But there's a lot of guides, a lot of people that have stepped up, took time out of their day to go to these meetings and show face. Travis.
A few that are just instrumental in our industry. Just to name a few is, Dave Marquette was there this morning. Mike Anderson showed up. Ray Markham showed up. And these are guys that have been around. These aren't guys that are hotheads that are just trying to make a name for themselves. These are guys that are really trying to make a difference in our fishing community for the better, and it's a long-term thing.
Let me say this real fast, and I want to say this and take it for what it is. Whatever I put, Travis puts, James puts, Rick, whatever. This is not about us, because
that's right.
It's always and you have to be in our industry. Sometimes the chest bump contest, he's just trying to promote himself. Well, this is not a ploy to promote myself. We're putting a lot of extra time, and we ain't getting paid for it. But I think it's the right thing to do, and it's called doing your part.
100%.
But remember, when I post this or Travis posts this survey, it's not about me.
No.
I don't need to take credit for it. I'm just kind of setting it up. What I want you guys to do is share it if you can. Fill it out, share it to your friends, and share it to your friends, and get it out to as many people as we can get to get this information to draw it in, because the more people that I think we have on the survey, it's going to tell. When I look at the numbers, I'm hoping I see a bunch of people that are interested in what happens, regardless of
right.
what you're.
If you took the survey, you took the 5 minutes, which to me says that you at least have some care, whether it's against or for. It doesn't matter. Real quick, I want to address this, Bo, and then we're going to get off the topic of the FWC stuff and talk some fishing.
Yeah.
Bo, there was one thing that came out of this meeting, and I'm going to address this to everybody, and whether I'm supposed to say this or not, it came out in the FWC little small group that we had today, is that as far as I know, the redfish hatchery and restock project is going forward. There's been an initiative, and there's actually, and like I said, I don't want to speak outside of context or say something that I shouldn't say, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. In Apollo Beach, there's a redfish hatchery, and it is soon going to be in operation. Now, when they release fish and how that all goes around, I don't know. But we were sort of educated on that today, that it is truth. There's truth behind it. Gil from Florida Wildlife Research and Science Institute, or whatever they classify him as, confirmed today that there are redfish restock programs being initiated again. So when it's going to happen, I don't know, but it is going forward. So, and they confirmed in our area, in the South Shore, Apollo Beach area, and they also confirmed up in the Panhandle that there's projects going on up there. So
that's good news.
I think you're going to see in the coming days, you're going to see some more information about that, probably a press release from the Florida Wildlife Commission, but that's a step in the right direction, and it addresses the point that you make right there, Bo, that we need to repopulate somehow, and that's one of the ways that we're going to be able to do it.
The best way I know how to repopulate is make babies.
Make babies, baby.
We seem to be populating a lot of humans.
Also, and reduce your harvest. Yeah. So with that being said, guys, that's enough politics. Let's hear what the boys really want to hear.
Are we going to cover our?
The question was, I think you posed.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
is if you're going to fish the IFA this week.
Yep. Yeah.
If you could only take a single bait with you,
right?
What's it going to be?
Z-Man paddle tail. Z-Man paddle tail quarter, either a weedless setup, and I cannot remember the Z-Man weedless weighted weedless.
Easy keepers.
Whatever they are, they've got the swivel head with the weight built in.
Come on, Pro Shaft.
Money. Well,
easy keepers. Z-Man easy keepers.
They are awesome. They come. The other ones were good, but they would slide off. Them things are money.
Yep.
But Senate, Paddle Z, Paddler Z, Houdini. You know what the Houdini means, right? don't even stick that in there. You're gonna corrupt my bag.
Now
man.
that's
You
a good.
can't mix them.
Now that's a
It's
good.
not gonna last
now
till
that's a
Saturday.
good.
All right, you want to do the test? Let's see how good it is.
No, the elastic.
do
No,
this-
the elastic.
come
you're gonna
on,
get
let's
me
do
on
the
elastic.
stretch
You're gonna
test.
get me on.
That's why he buys
That's why
a
these
bag of
come in the
50.
50
Yeah,
pack.
you don't need a bag of 50 when they do that.
No, but show a close up of the bait because this is a cool one. So believe it or not, this is the
Well, hold on.
there
I
it
get
goes.
Yeah,
That's
sorry.
the same bait I was gonna pick.
Yeah.
I like that too. I like it in the pinfish color too, but it gets a wild action because it's segmented. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, see there on the bottom,
Yep.
2/3 and third of the tail. It's got that segmented action, and then open up the belly.
Bro,
So
do
when
you
talk
wash?
about
You got
rigging-
scales on your hands,
Sorry,
bro.
man. I was fishing.
So it's easy to rig weedless. Got that wide open belly. So on that weedless hook he's talking
Now,
about.
do you shoot some goo in there?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
got to.
Got to shoot the
Some
goo.
bullet
in there.
sauce.
Look, we're going with this, but
So that bait actually had my vote too, but it is a good bait, and that's one that's already got that's the Procure one, right?
yeah, it's got a little Procure, but
You got to
never-
add to
you
it.
gotta add.
a little bit in
So
there.
how many bottles of Procure do you think you'll go through on Saturday?
Not that much.
Between what he eats on his
Yeah.
sandwich and then
Yeah,
what
if
he
I
puts
get
on
hungry, I
bait.
start chugging it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a Slurpee. But Pearl White is good, Ken. But man, you can't
Kelly.
mess with the
Bull Bay rods,
Houdini.
baby.
Sauce it up for sure.
Can't mess with the Houdini, brother. I'm sorry. It's. I mean,
Well, he's gonna
Hey,
say
listen.
something different.
I
I'm
am.
gonna tell you right now, Brian. You know, he gets on there with his gulp, and we're fishing, and every time I get on the boat now, I think we've caught enough fish on Houdini.
Yeah.
I gotta get the old Houdini out. Like I have converted him. I mean, it just catches fish.
It works. I tell you, I'm gonna fall back to this guy. It's a confidence thing,
Yeah.
and I think that's what any good tournament angler that has a different bait. Did you just break it?
Dude, that's
Come
the
on,
last
easy.
one.
Back
He's
up.
only
Hey,
got 49
Bro,
left.
that's my personal
easy.
dog. That's my personal.
That hair
There.
was that an infomercial?
that just became a puffer
That's a
fish
slug.
bait.
Slug bait.
But it all boils down to confidence, and the bait that I have
Mark.
confidence in is a DOA cow jig or cow shell
Paddle tail.
and a paddle tail. And I'll kind of get up here and show you. I mean, not that it's a pretty popular bait, and all in all, when you look at these
Pretty
baits and the
easy.
shape of these baits, they all sort of act the same way, and we use them in the same kind of deal. But there it is, right there. I think they're 3.5 inches or so. But you'll get that nice. That's the one thing about this thing is you get a lot of flutter with this bait.
Yep.
I mean, a ton of flutter
Yep.
with these DOA cows. And this color is the 313 gold glitter.
Which one?
And I've just caught a ton of fish on it. It matches the baits that are in our area pretty well. A pinfish, white
Yep.
bait, small
Shrimp.
finger mullet, things like that. And again, it goes back to what I'm confident in. Now, my cousin, okay, he is like Mr. Color. Like he'll throw
Crazy colors.
yeah, he'll throw, and we all have I don't know what the DOA color. I know what this color, but it's the Stinky Pinky, the neon, the Neon Leon. Like we all have these names for him. Rudy, which is your root beer, but he tends to kind of think outside the box, which is good from a tournament perspective. Where the guy that feels confident throwing everything at the wall, and me, I got like three
Stick to-
colors.
that's me.
And sometimes he'll get on. A pattern where that pink works or that chartreuse works or whatever, and I'll roll over and sort of use it a little bit. But, all in all, this is, if you say you can have one bait, this is what I'm going to feel the most confident in for me.
So
And
Travis, if we ever fish a tournament together, we're gonna have like 2 or 3 colors tops in the boat.
No,
we have like
two baits top.
You can take
2 baits with like a
James
1,000
saw my
back.
box. James saw my box on the boat. We went out pre-fishing, and I opened up my box, and it's literally like 5 packs of multi-pack, and it's like 3 different colors.
Yeah.
And
I'm kinda the same
it still
way.
goes back to that whole, Golden Brim is his. That's sort of my cousin's go-to. Which is a lot like this. What do you call this? The Houdini. Sorry. But it's that Golden Brim, and I think it's that good flats bait. It just gives you that good match the hatch, match the area type situation. But what I will say though, and what a lot of people ask me is, you say, okay, this is the soft plastic, right? You can take this bait and use it in deep water and shallow water and grassy areas.
Yep.
It all depends on how you rig it. You can go up to a half ounce jig head on it to get into that 4 to 6 foot stuff. If you want to go a 3/8 ounce, quarter ounce, 1/8 ounce, 16th ounce.
Yeah.
And that's on your jig head, and then you can go weedless. And we'll go weedless on some of this stuff with like a 4/0, wide gap hook with a 1/8 ounce jig head or weight on it, and that'll help you negotiate through the grass and if you've got obstructions in the water that you're fishing. And so this one particular bait, as in the soft plastic, can be used and fished several different ways, and you'll see that across the board with any soft plastic. And so when we talk about baits, this one bait is actually like eight different baits. You know what I'm saying? It's just how you fish it and how you rig it. So I like to kind of mention that because some people get off, our unexperienced folks get kind of like, well, okay, what do you do with it? You know what I mean? And there's more than one way to actually use this bait. So, and if you're Prieto, you take one of these goofy things right here, and you hook a popping cork to it, and you.
Well, and I forgot you got me off. I'm so excited. Right here, baby.
If you win the IFA on a popping cork, dude, I promise you, I will buy you a beer every time we sit down and have dinner.
Now, see,
which is
I've already got you on this one. I've already got you on this one because you didn't say where.
Well, from now.
In what state?
From now.
In what state?
From now.
In what state?
From now. Florida. Florida.
No,
Florida.
See, you're backtracking.
Yeah. Louisiana, dude, you can throw forks or the hooks on them, and they're gonna eat them, dude.
I popped this cork so much in Louisiana. That black thing was about 3 inches into the cork.
They will chew on them. Well, James, don't let us steal the show, bro.
All right, man. So, you guys picked, like my two favorite baits, and this might not be my favorite color, and I'll vary the color there, but I really like that 4-inch paddler from Z-Man. If I'm going out, honestly, it's probably what I'm going to use. As a backup, though, there's a bait from Slayer, which is their stick bait, which is rigged like that. I'll bring it up there in a second.
More of a dart.
It's more of a dart style. So Exude makes the dart, Mirror Lure makes the Little John, very similar, but these are like power fishing baits. Make long casts, reel them back to you, retrieve them, get a lot of that action. But when I'm on fish and I see fish and maybe I don't get them to eat that paddle action, sometimes I got to work something a little bit slower, maybe make it look like a shrimp. I think this gives me a little bit better action. If I rig it on a jig head, it's going to stand up and hop, and it's going to get that.
You get a really good dart action with them slugs.
Tons.
I want to pitch a product real quick, and a lot of people. It's been one of my sponsors for years. They've been great guys. My cousin tied jigs for him back in the day, but it's a company called Hookup Lures, and they make a jig head.
Makes sense.
And a lot of people think that hookup lures means hook up, like hook up to fish.
Yeah.
But one of the staples to their design is hook up.
How it stands.
So when the bait is at rest, the hook is always up, and that's what that means when a hookup jig. And if you've ever used one, you'll know what I'm talking about. So anyhow,
that's my favorite color though, Pepper Death. So it's like a clear
Pepper Death.
Pepper Death. It's clear.
I love Cincy's names on some of these baits.
Aren't
dude.
they good? But the cool thing is with this, I can rig it this full length. I think it's 4 1/4 inch on a big wide gap hook. Run it weedless and dart it through grass.
Right.
And then, like you said, like a stand-up jig, make it stand up. We can even cut, an inch off that and make it a little bit shorter tail if we're trying to have an easier presentation. So that's just something to switch it up. But if I'm going out, one of the rods.
So he gets two. He gets two.
Well, you guys took the best baits. This is the backup. You got to have a rod with a spoon on it.
Danny would be so happy if we went on a cruise right now to see a spoon get displayed.
I do like those spoons. I tell you what, those Aqua Dream spoons. I've been a big fan of the Johnson Sprite spoon for a long time.
Definitely.
I mean, heck, since we knew what fishing was. But Aqua Dream has really got a unique design to their spoon. You get a lot of vibration out of that spoon.
Yeah.
And I like the way that they screw in the hook into this whole deal, the arrangement of how the hook fastens in here. And my cousin is a big fan of the green ones. And we kind of got a story. He calls them the Green Hornet. And he's left several Green Hornets in Louisiana on stumps. But for whatever reason, we found that this color, this bronze color, this copper color, and the bright green, or it's not really bright. It's almost like the color of a Mountain Dew can, But that green somehow is really attractive to redfish.
Yeah.
But the way that they've sort of put these grooves in the spoon, you can feel it when you're using the spoon.
Oh,
you
sure.
can feel the vibrations coming off of this thing. A lot of guys like the pinfish one as well.
There goes the
We
power.
just lost power.
We're in a huge lightning storm right now, and there goes the power.
I don't know if we are still live or not.
We are.
This is Halloween.
Someone's going to tell
This is Halloween version.
This is great.
This is like, what is that show? The Scary Story or whatever it is?
Blair Witch Project.
You still hear us.
It's hilarious. How about that?
Wow.
That
That's
don't
so
work.
cool.
Are we still
Lights
live?
out. Yeah.
I think
Here,
we're still
Lights
rolling.
are out.
Hey, guys.
Yep, the whole store's power just went
Nice.
down in the studio.
Dude, we
Nice.
just when we thought we've had every technical problem at this show.
This is awesome.
We yet find another one.
Oh, my
Hey, we'll
goodness.
keep rolling it, dude.
All right, so let's take a break. We got one last.
This might
commercial we
actually
gotta
make
show,
us look better,
and then
guys.
we'll come back and
You
tell
can see us.
scary haunted stories.
Yeah, exactly.
But hopefully we get the power back on.
Once upon a time at band camp.
give us 1 second, guys. We're gonna check on this. Hang tight. We're gonna show you a little commercial, and we'll be right back.
How are we still running? Try the cell phone light?
No, go, dude. I got you.
What are you gonna?
All right,
plug?
we're back, guys. The power is not, but Travis is working on.
Watch
a plan
this, dude.
Hey,
to get some light going.
I can tell you right now, you guys have never seen this. Seen a lot of stuff on social media.
Yeah.
We're doing the first dark show.
Hey, this is real, boys.
This is. I don't even know how we're still on. How are you gonna get that to work, Travis?
Jason,
Anyways,
I'm not gonna doubt you. Really
don't you
not.
know that I can
so
do
there was
stuff?
a question about top waters here. I saw Ty answered it, but Ken came on. What's your favorite top water? I know that Ty replied with the bone-colored head and super spook. There we are. We're
Bro,
back in business.
money.
What's up?
This is like
Can't
studio
hold us
lighting.
down, son.
All right, well let's go with what we planned.
You can't hold us down.
All
Not even
right.
a lightning storm take us out.
Come get you
So-
We're
some.
money. We're
what the
money.
people want to hear. We promised we'd end with kind of a bait report. So
That's
you
right.
guys been on the water this week. I've been on the water. Let's kind of talk about. I don't need to know exactly where you're getting the bait. Maybe I do, but somebody does. But how are you going about getting your bait? What's your bait routine in the mornings like right now?
Dude, my bait routine's been a train wreck.
Okay,
You
so
want to tell the truth?
I've
I
still been
basically
on
go to
pinfish.
5 spots and I gill like every hole in my quarter-inch net, and then somewhere in between I get enough bait to fish. I mean,
pretty
I
much
think
how
I
it goes.
pretty much narrowed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I throw my 3/8, it's gilled, and I threw my quarter and it's gilled.
I will say one thing though, and oddly enough, I went out there on the skiff, but I did find some bait on a couple of the markers. Oddly enough, I did find some bait on
It's
the
got to
markers.
eventually pop up.
We're good. We're good. Hey, let it
little bit
roll.
closer.
We're all right. That's a little bright, but hey.
Just when you thought we have covered all bases on problems.
But I've been, there is some bait on some of the markers. There was a lot of thread fins mixed in with it.
Yeah.
I think some of that bait's pushing off the bridge. Historically, wintertime, it's a bridge and a deep water thing once the water cools down. But the flats are still going to be loaded. If you're a snapper guy, you're still in good
That
shape.
snapper bait
I
is
mean,
on the
it
flats.
is on point. I mean, you can go do the deal. The
Heck,
thing
I
is,
get
I
to
mean,
shake
you're
my
gonna be
net out at the spot.
you're gonna be
Yeah,
you're
that's
gonna
what you
be
do to chum is
you're
shake
gonna be
your net
pinching
out.
heads when you
Yeah.
get back to get them all out. But hey, that's just part of it, But it is great snapper bait. If that's sort of in your realm of things you like to do, you can go to the flats and get some snapper bait. For me personally, I just couldn't stand it anymore when I was gonna catch some snook and some redfish, and so I've always fallen back on those pinfish. And partially, if you've been on any flats in the last 2 months, there are pinfish from the Skyway Bridge to McKay Bay. There's pinfish all over those flats.
Yep. A lot of pinfish.
And you just some people don't have faith in them,
Yeah.
but if you use them and you play with it a little bit, you'll figure it out,
Or the
and
pinfish.
they are going to work. But
Definitely.
so that's one of the things as far as bait goes. The other thing is I've still been falling back on some cut bait. I actually got with a local mullet guy about a week ago and got some mullet and tried some mullet on some redfish, and that worked, obviously. But that's another alternative to getting some bait if you can't get a hold of some white bait that's good enough to
And
fish.
shrimp.
But-
I'll tell you right now.
And
my
shrimp
buddy's
is another
been-
one.
Good ticket,
Ernie,
yeah.
Mr. Shrimp. Ernie,
Dude, Ernie.
I come back into the dock the other day. Ernie goes, "Hey man, you want these jumbos?" I'm thinking like jumbos. He goes, "These shrimp." And I was like, "Yeah man, I'll take them." We went out and we actually fished with quite a few of them, and we caught some fish on them. So, Ernie, I appreciate them jumbos, brother.
Yeah,
I hope when you guys turn and burn that you guys got some fish too. But I appreciate it.
The problem with shrimp is you have to weed through the pinfish and every other thing else that swims eats shrimp. So
right.
But
I'm right there with you, Ken.
Please don't get him started on. I mean, he has gloated for the last 2 months, especially since I had to admit that I have used pinfish and caught
fish. It's been longer than 2 months. It's been like 6 years.
This has been a crazy summer.
Ever since I've known you.
Well, nice thing about Upper Bank, we're going through a nice little bait increase in size.
Right.
So it's been pretty good lately. And then the other thing I'd tell you is the bridge. Hitting that a couple times, it was worth it.
Yeah, it was good for 3 days, but then you thought, all right, and then
you always have that surprise. You go there and you're like, when is the next one gonna? When am I gonna go there? And it's
right.
Oh, well, there's been a lot of threads, and it got worse and worse every day. And then Saturday, I had to really get creative. You know, if you ever go, give a quick little tip for you get. This is actually going to lead right into this. Greenbacks typically like structure more than the thread fins.
Yeah.
So if you get in a situation where there's a lot of thread fins, either on a marker or at the skyway, or get closer to the structure, throw in the eddies on a strong current, use a lot of chum. And what happens a lot of times in threadies will constantly stay up top, and you'll end up chumming them white baits up. And if you they like the darker areas too a little bit more. So there's a way to separate yourself from the thread fins and the greenbacks and sometimes it just doesn't matter.
I've got three things, and I'll mention them real quick, and let's do this before we run out of time. But there's 3 things that over the years really trying to target greenbacks in the midst of thread fins. And there's 3 things that I've found, and sometimes a combination, and sometimes it's one or the other. But one of the things is, if you know that there's thread fins around, a lot of times the first thing you do is you mark them on your machine, and you can tell right away. You're going to see, a broken fish on the top and a ball of fish on the bottom. Normally a gap between them. The white bait's on the bottom, the thread fins are on top. And what you'll notice is when you throw the net, inherently you go right through the threadies before you get to the greenbacks. One of the things that I've been able to do, more so on markers, is you can actually stomp on your boat, like jump on the bow right before you throw, and those threadies will disperse, and you can. And it's a science to it, but you can do it. Another thing is you can throw some whitewash. I don't recommend doing it if you've got other guys around you.
Are we getting on whitewash?
No. I'm just saying though, it does work. I mean, you can.
Baby Jesus.
You can. There's a way to do it where you don't ruin the marker. But you can throw a little bit of whitewash on the surface, and you can push those threadies out of the way and get to the white bait.
Way to go, Travis. Every mark is not somebody.
No,
we're not going to go read the bottom.
I didn't say that. And then there was the third one, which I came across it sort of in a very irritating morning. But I got a net full of threadies, right? And there was tons of bait, and I knew I had threadies in the net. I pulled them in. A lot of times you rail dump them, right? So you don't even bring them in the boat. So what I did was I took a pail of thread fins and put them in the pail, cleaned the net out, got ready, and before I got ready to make my cast on the bait that I was chumming up, I threw all those thread fins in the water on a little bit of tide. The birds came in and started eating them. They started pushing and eating those thread.
To show them like this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is what you get.
Then he throws the net, pancakes it on the birds.
But the birds started hammering those baits that were on the surface, and actually the tide sort of moved those baits out. Well, it kind of blew the threadies out, and I was able to get white bait. And so I'm not saying that's like going to work every time, but those are 3 things that I've been able to do on the water, trying to target white bait through
your net. Like when you throw the net instead of stomping, just land half your weights on the side of your gunnel and make them slap, and all that bait.
There you go, and that's a lot of guys do that and they don't even realize it.
Travis,
but there's the guy right there.
Hold on, one last bait thing. Please tell us how you were able to gill every hole in a 12-foot humpback with Spanish sardines and effectively get that in.
We're not even going to go. That is
we have the time for
Spanish sardines, dude. Like me, I call them little Raphaels.
Please tell us how you can fill every single hole
Dude,
on one cast.
I've had several nets now that literally
my neighbor still talks about
you can't get them in the boat, dude. Yeah. I will fill the net with Spanish sardines. We'll talk about that in the spring.
when they're in full swing. All right, what do we got, Travis?
We got about 8 minutes to talk about this, James.
Cool. So this is not a new product for either of you guys' boats, right?
Nope.
You've been running this a while. It is for me. I've been going through some challenges kind of throughout the summer with my bait well, keeping bait alive. Made some modifications with limited upside and what I've noticed. Then I put this in is to keep alive. This is just the recirc system.
Mm-hmm.
What it's doing is it's taking the water that's already in your well, the recirc system, and it's bringing it through the recirculator pump, injecting the oxygen into it, bringing it out of the discharge, and I count million. I'm very impressed with it.
Did you notice a difference on your bait? Have you actually?
I've noticed a difference on the bait. I've noticed the difference in the amount of lost bait I'm getting. It's a square well.
You'll notice when you go to grab those baits and you hold them in your hand,
takes the slime off a little bit.
They will flip around like nuts.
Well, what I've noticed with this one, I went with the 700. There's two models of this. There's a 700 gallon per hour and there's an 11. I have the 7. I've got pretty good moving water in my well right now. So this doesn't move a lot of water around. Just puts a lot of oxygen in there. So I haven't really noticed any of the
atomized oxygen.
Atomized oxygen. That's what's key about it. So I know you guys.
Yeah, you can blow in a well. Sorry to interrupt you. You can blow bubbles out of a bubbler, which I have a bubbler in my boat.
Yeah.
But they go straight up. So if the bubbles go straight up, you're not doing a whole lot of the water. But if you take the air and you circulate it in atomized bubbles, now you're putting air into the water, which is key.
There's a term. It's called dissolved oxygen, and it has to do with the if you look at it. I mean, that's the term. I mean, that's why when you pumping water in, the DO is either high or low, and that's what the fish breathe. They're getting dissolved oxygen. It's the oxygen in the water, the actual free oxygen.
And the reason why it's not as big of an issue, and I use these year-round. I actually do not use them on my Pathfinder for a couple reasons, but I have went to a system that works very similar. But in the wintertime, it's not as big of an issue because as the water temperature heats up, your oxygen level is lower in the water. Yeah. Wintertime, regular pumps probably work fine. I still think that you can hold more bait just because you're giving, no matter what time of the year, you're putting more oxygen into the water. I
will say that I have two 1100s on my boat, the way I'm set up, and you can actually put too much. You can if I run
water or
too much oxygen, like you can get it to the point where you'll actually affect your bait in an opposite manner if you put too much. And partially to that is ours is sort of redundant. I mean, I use one or the other really most of the time, but to kind of break this down, it's a Venturi system. So you're sucking air in with the water flow coming throughout the discharge of the pump.
Right.
But secondary to that, and it's made by the same company, and you got to see it on my skiff, Airstone that I had, and a very similar result in the live well set up that way. It's just I'm putting the oxygen in there and sort of using the water flow that's in there to kind of disperse it. But this is probably the best way. If you have a live well that's already set up, you can't get to your in-feed pumps that are on the high-speed pickup. This is probably the best way to fix the solution of getting oxygen into your live well.
From experience, from the sake of walking into the store, it's about $100. I think the 1100 is a little bit more. I think this one's $104.99. For a little bit more, you can get the 1100 if you feel like that's what you need. But for the sake of me walking in, being able to pick this up, and within a couple hours, having it running on the boat, it's an
everything
easy
is there.
Everything's here. You can even adjust the amount of oxygen. So let's say you don't
and you
want
have to
oxygen. You do need to. But if you don't want any oxygen going in with it, dial it right down.
Right.
If you want tons of oxygen, dial it up. But it's adjustable. It's an easy install. One guy came in on Monday, followed up with me today, came in the store Monday, wasn't quite sure. He doesn't have a recirc system on his boat. His boat isn't set up with one. But I told him, I was like, look, just go in there, look at it, make a good plan. The instructions are in here. He came back today. He's up and running. He loves it.
Yeah.
But I mean, he went from no recirc system. I swapped out an old recirc system.
We and I've we've had this on our show. I don't know. We did this back at radio. We've been promoting this stuff and
model number K.
One of the things too, guys, is
700.
We're not sponsored by these guys. I mean, actually, we sort of are, but. It's not because of that. I mean, they're not pumping us for this stuff. We're trying to give you the real deal. This stuff works.
I actually do not use them.
It's not a sales pitch.
Only because I get a new boat pretty frequent, and they come with regular rule pumps. There is an adapter. Is it Danco? Did I say it right? That works pretty good.
Yeah.
That you can put
after
the pump.
I don't know who makes it. I thought it was Sureflow or one of those, but I don't know.
You remember
Danco.
Daco. Okay.
Danco.
So now it does work really good with the existing pump, depending. Now here's the X factors. I have a leaning post live well that's pushing more water, and then I got a rear well.
Keep alive, Ken.
The rear well pumps as good as that does with air,
Mm-hmm.
with a regular pump, and my leaning post well for maybe it's the distance the water's traveling up and all that. It doesn't work.
I'll tell you, while we're talking about this, Captain Steve Betts over fishes up in the northern part of the bay. He's got that system where it's a third party. It's a third party Venturi, which is that's the thing. That the one thing about this is it's all incorporated. So there's nothing different about this pump. Okay, there's nothing different about this discharge. It's the Venturi. It's this black part in the middle of the pump that does the magic, and all it's doing is it's sucking air as it's coming through the discharge of the pump. Okay, that's all it's doing. So there's several ways to do that. In fact, I mean, in theory, some of the guys with the sprayers, you kind of get that effect.
You get that if it's above water.
Exactly, you sort of get that effect, but this is a way to push it from the bottom, and that's another part that sort of I want to talk about this, because you can take this product right here and you could put it at the top of your live well where your sprayer is. Don't do it. That's not the point of it. You're not going to get the same results that we're talking about. You really want to put this at the bottom of your live well and let this water move from the bottom to the top of the live well so that you cover the full volume or as much of the volume of your tank or live well that you can. And as far as setup goes, we've talked about where to set the air and all that stuff. I mean, first is going to be your visual. But now that you've got yours running, and I've said this to several people that have them, you can listen to it. You can adjust that.
You don't want to go too much.
Yeah, you can adjust that air valve, and you'll literally hear when you hit the sweet spot. Yeah. I mean, that thing will just hum. You get too much, and it'll sort of vibrate and kind of make a weird sound. If you get too little, you'll see these big air bubbles just bubbling out of the bottom of it.
If you want to put these two, guys, if you got a boat with easy access to your high-speed pickups, you go to Keep Alive, and they're a local company. You can actually buy the high-speed pickup kit that screws right on your high-speed pickups.
Yep, and it's just the way that this
the threads are different.
Exactly. You don't have the 45 or whatever this is. It's just a straight nipple that comes down from the pump.
I think the threads are actually different. It's a different MPT thread.
It may be. I don't know.
Because I actually bought these back in the day, and I had a real bear. There's a different MPT thread. I should be correct on that. Okay. And it's a straight angle.
I've never used the angled ones. I've always used the straight nipples.
It's different threads.
I like the
straight
nipples.
Why, but
45.
Well, this model, I know a couple people asked, so it's Keep Alive. This model is the KA700 PK. We've got those in stock at Tampa Fishing Outfitters, and the KA1100 PK. Those are your recirc setups. Both of those will be in stock here. The 1100 we're out of right now already, but we've got more coming in. But if you do want to look at some of the other products, there's keepalive.com. I think that's the website for it.
Keepalive.com or keepalive.net.
.net, yeah. You can get on there, check all that out, but they have some of the ones Jason's talking about, the through hole. Yep. They also have some of the oxygen tank systems as well. So they have other options, but you're right. It's a local company. And
biggest thing, real fast, they have replacement pumps. These pumps are hard to find. Cartridges, sorry. They have the replacement cartridges you can get from them. So, and these are the old style rules. So if you say, well, West Marine don't carry the old style rules, well, Keep Alive does. So look them up on the internet.
Sure do.
We're going to wrap this deal up?
Wrap it up, man.
Wrap the deal up, man. Let's do it, boys. Well, hey, guys, you've been watching Tampa Fishing Outfitters Live Fishing Report. Myself, Captain Travis. If you want to go fishing, give us a shout. That's fishbyinstinct.com. Cell phone number, 813-830-3474.
SteadyActionFishingCharters.com.
Put you on the spot.
813-727-9890.
And Local Knowledge Fishing Adventures, 813-625-2067. Y'all have a good week. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Guys, we appreciate you hanging with us through the power outage. We made it happen. We'll see you next week.